Okay, so for our third and last topic, which will be a gridlock, we will be discussing the death penalty and in many ways how it applies to today, current cases, etc. We'll start with Devin.
Okay, to start my argument, I would say that theoretically the death penalty may be acceptable, but within our current jurisprudence and court system, I don't find it to be acceptable as it errs far too often.
See, I think right now people are overreacting to the Troy Davis case because Troy Davis was most likely an innocent man, and he was executed. But I'm not against the death penalty because I'm just against wrongful convictions, and I'm against wrongful convictions in general, whether or not it's going to lead to the death penalty or just 20 years in jail, 10 years in jail. We should have very strict guidelines on whether we put people in jail. Even stricter guidelines if we're going for the death penalty itself.
See, I completely agree with Adam because I think we need it because there's a lot of cases that prison time is just no retribution for it. It's nothing compared to the act of atrocity that was committed. But you have to be extremely sure. There has to be completely circumstantial evidence that the person actually, like for example, murdered someone before he gets the death penalty. There can't be some evidence. There can't be what's the word I'm thinking for? That. It has to be like 99.9999999% chance that it actually happened. If it's 95% chance that he did it, lots of times people get the death penalty for that. But there's still a relatively large margin of error.
Okay, sorry, if I may cut in quickly. You spoke quickly about retributive justice. Is that the purpose of our justice system? To give blood in reparation for the crimes committed by someone? Is that what we want as a society?
This is where I jump in. I thought the point of prisons was, or any sort of social establishment, was to improve the condition of society. And we have to ask ourselves, after all of these millions of people have been put in jail, is society really better off while they're in there and while they leave? And I would say no. And I would say the reason why prisons have been created were, again, by whatever power structure at the time is like the ruling class. Generally, they're one of two holding pens for young men and women. The other one is universities. Right. So in universities, we turn people into trained monkeys who know how to do one thing sort of well. In prisons, we kind of keep them. We keep them.
That's true.
Yeah, and we keep them we leave them as a reserve army for people who should join the army because they have no other choice. So it's like a constant standing army in a way.
To answer your question about what prisons are useful for, and just this is my opinion, but for U.S. law, U.S. v. Miller, 1949, Hugo Black stated that there are 4 reasons why we have criminal law in prisons. We have to punish the person for breaking society's laws, not retribution for what they did to the victim of the crime, but because they violated a rule that they know is in place. You have to teach people not to do that. So you punish them for that. You have to deter other people from doing it by scaring them pretty much into not doing it by saying this is what happens if you do this. Also, you're taking him off the street so he can't do it again for X amount of time or eternity if you kill him. And 4, you can rehabilitate them maybe.
But what right does an illiterate prison warden have to teach some person who's committed a crime how to better society? I mean, it doesn't make sense in any way. You know, I mean, if we really wanted to help people out, I don't think locking them away in prison is the way to do it.
Well, it depends on how the prison operates.
What?
It depends pretty heavily on how the prison's operating.
Right, but in general, it's a place where someone else controls your freedom of movement and most of your life.
Yes, but John schools in England have actually rehabilitated many Johns and prostitutes. They have that too, and there's a really low recidivism rate. But violent offenses, especially rapes and murders, there's a 67% chance of recidivism. So 2 out of the 3 people you throw in jail, if you let them back out, they're going to do it again.
Yes, but you also have to look at the societal factors. Now, why are they committing these rapes and these I guess what you could call it cultural violence? Okay, so why are they doing these horrible things? I would say it's not because it's some sort of moral degeneracy on the part of them. Because again, most likely it's people of lower incomes and people of brown skin, right? So why are they doing these things? I think society is pushing them towards it. You know, they're desperate, they're poor, they're marginalized, they can't get access to proper education, healthcare, food, many things.
True, it does put them in a bad situation, but that doesn't justify what they've done.
I mean, it doesn't justify what they've done, but if we
throwing
really want
them
to
in
improve
prison
society,
throwing them in jail doesn't get rid of the causes that
True.
pushes them to these
We
acts.
should focus more on the causes that try to eliminate them before we can cut down prison population. But if you see someone kill someone, we can't just not do anything. But let's go fix the poverty. You can't just ignore the fact that they kill someone.
but you can't just fix poverty. It's not like fixing shingles on your house.
I know, but you're suggesting we should focus on improving their
Oh,
living
so
conditions.
I just want
We should.
We
cut
should,
it
I'm not-
and say the topic was the death penalty, not really prison reform or anything like that. So I think we should sort of, if you could connect it back to death penalty,
Okay,
that'd be
well,
good.
just
Well,
for the
about-
death
alright,
penalty-
about race.
No, for the death penalty, if I could, what if I imprisoned you for 20 years in your basement, and once in a while I brought you out, I put a black hood on you, and I put a gun to your head, and I said, I'm gonna kill you. Now, and I did that a couple times.
Would be
I
considered
could-
psychological
It would actually be
torture.
considered torture.
Yeah, psychological torture, yeah.
Torture by Geneva Conventions.
Sure.
But if I did that a couple times, then I locked you back in there, and then I took you out one day and I killed you. Now, you would think I was a psychopath. I think rightly so, right? And yet, for some reason, when we pay other people to do this, we consider them. I mean,
But the prison warden is not taking you out and then acting like he's gonna kill you. He actually intends to kill you. And
do you
then,
think, do you
so
think
you're
that
saying-
matters to the guy in the hood?
But so you're saying we should
He
take
would
away the
kill you if
appeals
you didn't ask
process?
for his stay.
Wait, yeah, he's doing it to himself. If he didn't ask for the appeal,
Oh,
he
he did
would.
it to himself.
He would. If he
You
didn't ask for
think-
the
you think-
appeal,
yeah,
he wouldn't have been
right,
sent back to his cell. He would have just been killed.
But see, I think you give them too much agency. I don't think people in prison have a lot of power.
They
most
can
of the time,
appeal.
again, most of the time, a lot of times they're uneducated and illiterate. They really don't have
They have
much power in
lawyers.
They
society.
can't order their lawyer
They
not to
have
appeal.
horrible lawyers. Like when some of these public defenders, they're overworked. They have like
They don't have a right to a
Depends what
competent
cases.
attorney. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled on that already.
they don't have a right to what?
A competent public defender.
I know they have
It's
a right.
ruled.
Yes, and just because you say you have a right to, I say
No, they
everyone-
don't have a right to it. The Supreme Court says they do not have a right to it. That's the
Okay,
Supreme Court decision
okay.
from the 90s.
Right, and I think the point of the Supreme Court is to mirror the moral values of the population, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
they
So,
have more
does
implicit
anyone
in
here
the
think that
legislation.
criminals don't have a right to a competent defense? That's
I
right.
don't.
I mean, I think it'd be great, if everyone had a competent lawyer and we all got
No, but
justice.
do you
everything was
think people have a
perfect.
right to it? I'm not asking whether it, I say
I'm saying we can't.
I'm
No, I'm
saying-
saying if we had an infinite amount of competent lawyers, then yes, I think everyone should.
okay. So
I'm saying we don't.
do you think
though.
everyone does have a right to it or not? It's whether we can reach that goal or not. Do you think everyone does in theory have a right?
No, we
to
should
it?
not
And
try
I'm
to
saying,
right.
when you use the word right, you use it in the sense that, in the way that someone has a right to be free, or someone has the right,
Or the right to by the
or
government.
how we have the right to vote right now. That
No, not at all. Not at
You
all. I
just
don't.
should
I don't
have it.
believe that everyone has. I mean, the right to be free in what sense?
That's like natural rights. He's talking about
Yeah.
government given rights, like constitutional rights, pretty much.
then yeah, in that sense, yeah. If we are able to do it, then yes, I do agree with that.
But if
So
we're not-
only if we're able to do it. But who is to decide whether we're able? I mean, we're going around in circles here. All I'm asking is, in theory, it doesn't matter if we're able to do it or not. Do you think people have a right to a competent defense attorney?
No, because
And yes, I do agree with
Okay.
that. I know. I think.
Okay.
You
Like, I'm
have
just
to
saying,
have that
disagree
right
with
to
that,
have a
but yeah.
valid justice system. You can't have due process of law in
You can't say.
our
You can't say.
jury system.
We're gonna. We don't know if you did this or not, but we're gonna stick you in a cell for 20 years.
As
And
long-
we're not even gonna let you have. We're not even gonna let you talk to anyone who might be able to help you out at all, prove your innocence. That's what you're saying.
as long as 20% or less of the people, or as long as no more than 20% of the people are
How do you draw
innocent.
that line? How do you pick 20%?
Yeah.
Because 66% of people are recidivism. So if you have even 9 people that are guilty out of the 10 people you throw in jail, you have 6 of those people, if you release them, are going to hurt 6 more people,
Okay,
opposed to
so
hurting one.
you study statistics. I'm a human being. So yeah.
Well, utilitarianism is for the greater good. I'm
William
saying
No,
that
it says greater good for who? You have to look at
the
actually.
largest amount of
No,
population.
No, it's not that at all. You have to look at which segments of society benefit from having large amounts of poor and black people in prison, and it's generally the middle class and wealthy classes.
We don't want to put innocent people in prison. We should have really high.
Oh, definitely. If you look at the
Probably,
rates
yeah.
of overturned convictions and stays on death penalties.
Yeah, I would.
Probably not
agree.
more than 10%. And as long as it's not more than 20%, it's still better to throw
mean-
those people in jail by accident.
Do you think it's still better to just throw people in jail?
By
See,
accident,
that's-
if
See,
you
that's
think
very
about-
different because I don't think there should be a coercive state that has the ability to do that. And I don't
Precisely.
think.
Then where do you limit the
Opposed-
government powers?
Opposed to letting bad people out by not.
Well, why do you call them bad people?
Because
what,
they-
you think a prostitute is a bad person?
No,
You
violent.
think
I'm talking about violent offenses.
So only violent
This
offenses.
this penalty
Well,
doing
how about
it
this?
is violent
How about
offenses.
you pin me to the ground, I punched you. You think I'm a bad person because I punched you?
That's not a violent offense. You're not
That's a
going to jail.
violent offense.
That is a violent
Yeah.
offense.
No. If I pin him on the ground,
Yeah, but they
And-
can call it self-defense, but
It
then,
was
but
self-defense.
actually, maybe they could rule that actually it was a violent offense because I punched you a lot harder than you deserved.
Exactly. That happens
it
all
would
the
constitute
time.
assault in
No,
those cases.
it would
Definitely
it would
would.
definitely would not. If I assaulted him by tackling him, it's the same as Darren Venerable down in like the DU
Yeah,
area.
okay.
He was like the other guy was on top of him and he stabbed the guy. That's why it was self-defense. That's why he didn't go to jail. If I'm on top of him trying to hurt him, he has the right to do whatever it takes to get me off of him.
Okay, but I'm saying it's conditional. It's not always the case that happens. I think that boy was incredibly lucky that happened to him. You know, it would have been a terrible tragedy if he'd gone to jail.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But that doesn't happen in every case. There are cases where people get into fights and both parties end up going to jail.
So would you rather see more guilty murderers, rapists out on the streets along with the innocent people that we didn't throw in jail, or would you rather see some innocent
Here's
people
where
jail
differ
with
is
them?
because I don't want to wave my hands in tomorrow. All of a sudden, the walls that are holding in all these people disappear, and all of a sudden they're free to do whatever the hell they want. I don't think that's not what I'm talking
I
about.
know.
I'm talking about focusing more on mitigating the factors that cause people to commit these crimes in the first place. See, the reason why a lot of these people commit these crimes again is because they go back. First of all, they waste, I don't know, 10 years in jail for dealing crack or something. They go back and, like, they wasted those 10 years of their lives. They couldn't really do anything, right? So they go back and, like, what am I supposed to do? Well, I gotta sell more blow.
Well, I'm not saying we should. I did disagree with you that we should try to better living conditions, that we should try to make it harder to throw people in jail. We should make it harder. It should be harder to throw people in jail, but we shouldn't take away the death penalty. We shouldn't take away mandatory minimum sentences. We need those
But
things.
do you really, I mean, again, like, I described the example, even if I hadn't done the mock execution, the example with you, where I lock you away in my power for 20 years before I decide to kill you, that's the action of a sociopath.
That's not my fault.
No, but
If I kill you,
it's my fault. That's
Yeah,
the
'cause-
point.
'cause
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
killing.
So yeah, but then we pay other people to do that, and for some reason we wash our hands of the moral
no,
necessity.
the person that's getting executed is appealing though. That's why if he wanted to get killed 6 weeks from now, like it was back in 1894, I'd be okay with that. And then he
Right.
would have
Okay.
6
But I mean,
weeks
even
and
the
be
fact
dead.
that you have someone like
He's prolonging it
I mean,
himself.
don't you see, like, what do you slaughter? Not you. I'm sorry. I don't want to like smear you, but I'm saying no one in their right minds who's not a sociopath again takes something that is completely in their power and just kills it. You know, like that's why killing children is one of the vilest crimes, I think, or
not good they're innocent.
vilest moral acts. No, maybe they're not innocent, but the point is, you know, you got something that's just so small and so in your control, and you just obliterate.
Well,
it.
they're innocent because they don't know what they're doing could be wrong. Depending on how old they are.
Okay, so you can apply that argument. I'm talking about the fact of like just the idea of having someone so far in your control. You control their every movement. You control what they eat. You control when they eat, when they go to the bathroom. No one else here. Does that strike anyone else as
I would
wrong?
say,
mean,
I would
it's
say,
just-
I would say it depends on what. Because say if you're doing that to a person who went raped 10 kids and then killed them, went and raped 10 more and then killed them, and then he was into prison, who gives a crap about how he's treated in prison? He deserves to be
You
there.
think so? You
I-
you
I
think-
do,
Who gives a crap?
completely.
I see the humanity. Even if someone has done something so evil as that, I think everyone in this world deserves a certain amount of respect and just to be able to live decently.
Yeah,
mean,
but
I don't
Well,
believe
no.
that a person who raped and killed 20 kids. I completely
So
disagree
who's
with
done
you.
that?
Who's done? I can't know any examples. I'm
Right.
saying that could be possible.
Let's talk about BTK. He tied up whole families, raped them, tortured them, and killed them. He
Right.
doesn't deserve anything,
Okay.
any rights whatsoever. If we could prove he's
That's
guilty,
like 1 out of
To
100.
wrap things up, you shorter this time, much shorter.
I just don't see the moral. I don't see the moral value in just having someone in your control like that, and then either punishing them in some way or killing them. I don't think that helps them. I don't think that helps anyone else. I mean, we have these. Every human being has these innate instincts where you push someone, you get pushed, you want to push back, right? And so that's probably what victims' families. That's what they feel like. They feel anger and despair. But if a lot of the times when you look down the road, you're not so happy that person was killed. You're not so happy that person was punished for the rest of their life because every human being is redeemable for the most part.
Devin.
Okay. I believe that moralistically, the death penalty might have some value, but I don't believe in retributive justice, so I'm not sure how much use it has in that sense. B, from an economic perspective, it's not efficient because it always costs the government more to execute someone than to keep them for life.
That's actually
So-
true.
From a standpoint of even if I find it morally acceptable, I wouldn't find it useful for the society.
Adam.
alright, so I think that we should, one, make it harder to kill people, have, stricter guidelines.
I agree.
We should try to better the conditions because if we better
I
the
agree.
conditions of living, recidivism rates will go down. So, and if we try to, add more rehabilitative
Conditions
procedures,
in prison or outside?
both rehabilitative procedures in prison and living conditions outside, recidivism rates will go down. But still, many people will go back to what they're doing, especially if they're rapists, because rapists are not like drug dealers selling blow. Rapists don't rape for any monetary gain; they do it because they want to. That's like our urge. You're not change that in them. So we need to kill these people.
I mean, I agree with Adam on the part that it needs to be harder to kill people. I remember I was recently talking with a rabbi who said the ancient process for killing someone was extremely difficult. And they say, I think if a court more than once in 70 years had someone executed for a crime, the entire court was fired. It was extremely difficult to do it. That said, I do believe there are some people who should be killed. I know you said that I think there might still be some good in people. That's great. There is probably some good in the people that were killed too. So I believe there are times when people should be executed. But there are so many flaws right now in our system, the judicial system. We need to address those flaws and do our best to make sure only people who deserve it should be killed.
And
Just one thing.
we cannot argue right now. I
Yeah.
totally agree with Adam and Phil. I think it should still be instituted, but it does obviously need to be reformed. Too many people are put on death row that don't belong. In many cases have been overturned. Prison conditions should be should get a little better. I agree. For example, I think some of the examples you gave about people with the hood over their head, gun, psychopath example. I think that doesn't occur that super often, but there should be better tourism conditions. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of our show. So hope you enjoyed.